Hello everyone. In this video, I will be explaining about design patterns, and also I will be creating series of videos to explain about various design patterns we come across, and we implement in different projects. So, what is a design pattern? So, I've opened the Wikipedia article of software design pattern, and we can come across a definition of what is a software design pattern, and we'll go with the real-time examples. So, in software engineering, a software design pattern is general reusable solution to a commonly occurring problem within a given context in software design. It is not a finished design that can be transformed directly into source or machine code. Rather, it is a description or template for how to solve a problem that can be used in many different situations. So, design patterns are formalized best practices that programmer can use to solve common problems when designing an application or system. So, this one you have to just remember. So, design patterns are formalized best practices that the programmer can use to solve common problems when designing an application or system. Okay. So basically, you have to see about two important terminologies. One is a general reusable solution, a design pattern, and formalized best practices that programmer can use to solve common problems. So you understand these two statements. So what you mean by this actually? So let us actually come up with some a high level some explanation. So basically, we'll be seeing even in the detailed part also when we go across the design patterns. But here, say I have developed an application. So this is my application. Sorry. So this is my application. Okay. And I have one more legacy application. But this legacy application is being maintained by some other team. This application is being maintained by my team. And a legacy application is being maintained by some other team, some third party system. And there is a communication between this application and this legacy application related to some customer information, something. So let us say some customer information. So this customer has attributes like customer ID, customer name. Okay. So we have attributes like customer ID, name, so on. So where this legacy application gives as a response to this application. But my actual application is expecting attributes in a different way, like not ID or not like name or something like that. It is expecting some different attribute names like user ID, user name, like that. It is expecting some attributes like this. So what is the solution generally I do? I write some mapping logic in my application where I map these attribute values to corresponding attribute values that is required in the application. I write a mapping logic in my application. So that is a general common logic that we implement. Says there is one more legacy application. Even this also sends some customer information to here. This is sending different kind of attributes, but my application, so whatever the legacy application it interacts, it will expect always this user ID, username, something kind of these attributes. So for each legacy application that I integrate, so I have to write a mapping logic in my application. But imagine that if this application is in a production environment, okay, and every time I cannot change the code in this application, and I cannot actually do that. Okay. Uh, there are some scenarios where we can actually write some separate service, and that service can be deployed and something like that. Okay. So that is one scenario. The other scenario is I can have one common code component like this. One code component like this that sits in between my application and these legacy applications. So this code component, what it can do is it can write them. It can have its own mapping logic. It can have its own mapping logic that can map the attributes that is coming from this legacy application, that is coming from this legacy application, and give it to this app. So this code component, can I can I call it as I can call it as a design pattern. So for this complete project, I can call this code pattern is one of the design pattern that I used. I'll give some name. What is the name of this design pattern? But this code component, I can call it as one design pattern. Okay. In this way, what will happen is my application logic will not be disrupted. All the mapping logic can be shifted to this code component. And tomorrow, if I can have n legacy applications or n some third-party system applications, so those can integrate with this code component, and the mapping logic can be defined in this. So now you imagine what is the advantage of bringing these kind of patterns into my application. Now, if you see, this is one of the best practice also. Now, you see, according to Wikipedia definition, so design patterns, two when I told, you remember two actually terms. One is a reusable solution, another one is a best practices that programmer can use. If you can think about that, now I can say, so this is actually a reusable component that can be used for mapping logic between various legacy applications. And also this is one of the best practice so that my actual application or the legacy applications need not change, so they can remain as it is, and only the intermediate component can have its own mapping logic. So this is one of the best practice. So I mean, imagine that this is one of the scenario I explained, like that we can have multiple scenarios where design patterns can be applied. So for that, so we will be studying various design patterns that we will be using that in real-time applications. So basically, if you see in design patterns, these design patterns mainly are divided into uh, three patterns actually. If you see, concurrency pattern is actually one of the latest pattern. But if you see our traditional Gang of Four design patterns, Gang of Four, we have actually, that is one of the famous design pattern uh, academic course where we have studied. So in that we will be studying about creational patterns, structural patterns, behavioral patterns. Okay. So in creational patterns, so what are the creational patterns that we come across? These are the abstract factory, builder, dependency injection, factory method, lazy initialization, object pull, prototype, and this. So this dependency injection, if you see, so this pattern, Spring framework is developed completely using this pattern. The Spring framework, which is actually famous in the Java world. Uh, so dependency injection pattern is the core pattern used in Spring. Okay. And singleton pattern is one of the famous pattern, and it is one of the famous interview question being asked. So what is singleton pattern? Okay, so we will be studying across all these, and in structural patterns we'll be studying about adapter, bridge, composite, decorator. And one of the example that I've told you now, this legacy application thing, you can think this can be as an adapter pattern, or sometimes even this can be related as a bridge pattern also. Okay, and facet pattern, flyweight, and even this can be considered as a facet. And if you see, many of the patterns are interlinked to each other. So sometimes adapter pattern resemble like a bridge, sometimes a bridge resemble like a facet, something like that. So we'll be studying all these things in detail. So when we have to use all that. And behavioral patterns, we have command pattern, interpreter pattern, uh, iterator pattern, mediator pattern. And these are the Wikipedia definitions. You can go through, you can open the software design pattern article, and you can actually go through these definitions. Okay. But what we will be seeing in this course videos is, so we'll be studying how we can implement these patterns and using one programming language. So for the in this course, I have taken Java as programming language, and how we can implement the patterns. So we'll be seeing that. So first and foremost, so we will be seeing about creational patterns. So what is creational patterns? Creational patterns provide the capability to create objects based on required criteria and in a controlled way. Okay, so this is what actually creational patterns deal. So creational pattern are used to create objects based on required criteria. Okay, so first and foremost we'll be studying about factory pattern. Okay, so I have done is, I'll be uploading this code also in GitHub, so that everyone can access. So I have written multiple Java examples for using all these patterns. So first we'll be studying about the factory pattern, the first and foremost. So what is basically a factory pattern? Okay, I'll explain what is a scenario here actually. Say for example, say I have, so I think everyone knows actually, who is seeing these videos. about the OOPS concepts. Okay. Uh, if you're not familiar with the OOPS concepts, I will create one video on OOPS concepts. So object-oriented concepts. So in general, in object-oriented world, we deal with objects. Okay. So objects are the core component in the object-oriented programming. So basically, what is an object? So object is nothing but a real-time entity. We can say real-time entity. Okay, real-time entity. And I can say collection of these objects can be considered as a class. Collection of objects can be considered as a class. This is a general logical definition. Okay, but I'll be creating one course on object-oriented also in short. Okay, now, so I have actually a class. This is my application. Okay, my application is dealing with, say, employee data. Say this is a bank application. Let us assume, let us think this is a bank application. So this is a bank application. So generally, in a bank application, what are the real-time entities you might expect in bank application? Generally, you'll be expecting customer related data, because for bank, customer is the king. Uh, uh, so uh, next is employee. So the bank employee data. Okay, okay, and next, customer, again it is associated with account, their own bank account. Okay, and for customer, they can have loan related data. Okay, and these are all actually related, we can say. Some might go as an objects directly, some might go as attributes for that particular object. So when we design the bank application, we have to come across all this. Say for example, if my application is expecting, say, my bank application wants to create a customer object. So generally in Java world, how we will be doing? So we will tell new customer. So generally in Java world, we'll say new customer. Okay, I'll just write here, for example. Let's say I'll just write. I'm just writing here. So generally we say new customer. I'll be writing like this. So customer. So I'll be writing like this, customer. So I'll be writing like this. So new customer. Okay, and then this is the way I create an object in my class. Now, for example, now there is a disadvantage like this. Generally, what is a disadvantage here? This is a straightforward approach. Right? This is just creating an object. But what is a disadvantage I'm telling is, say tomorrow there is a change in the class name. Okay, why it is showing compiler error is because I don't have customer class actually. Okay, so as tomorrow there is a change in customer class name. Customer has changed to new customer, for example. The class name itself is changed. Okay, so now what will happen now? When I say new customer, customer equal to new customer. So when my class name itself is changed, so I have to actually change this code. So this is my client code, something client code. I have to change and again compile this code, build this code and deploy again to production. So every time, whenever there is a change in the class name, I have to change this code with this approach. Okay. So I mean, I assume that this is my business logic. This is my core business logic. So this in my core business logic, I'm creating like this actually. So every time whenever any class name changes, so I have to disrupt my business logic class and change this. So for that, this factory pattern, what it tells is, okay. So what factory pattern tells is, let us create one factory class. Okay. So one factory class, let us create one factory class. Generally, what is a factory? So factory is nothing but, what is general definition of a factory? Factory is one which produces some products, which manufactures some goods, some. So that is nothing but a factory. So factory in this scenario, factory class produces or creates some objects. Okay. So let let your application, this is my application. So this is my application. Let your application uses factory class and get the object. Uses the factory class and get the object. So this is how actually the scenario. So this factory class can be called as a design pattern. So what is the advantage? Now, if you see the Wikipedia definition of factory pattern is of the design pattern is applicable here. What Wikipedia definition of design pattern tells? Design pattern is a reusable artifact, a reusable code component, and also the best practice. Yes. Now, tomorrow another application also wants some objects. Okay. So it will talk with the factory pattern and get the objects. So it means this factory pattern is reused across all these applications. And this is the best practice. Why means now in factory pattern, I create the object. How I create the object? Generally in Java world, we create object using new operator, new some class name. Okay, new class name. Just like how we created customer, new customer. So we create new class name. Now what will happen is now tomorrow if there is a change in this class name, I will change only in this factory class. I will not change in any either of these applications. My applications will talk with the factory class and will get the object. And tomorrow, if there is a change in the class name, I'll change only at one place. But in the earlier example, if there is no factory class and say I'm creating a customer object and I'm creating a customer object and I'm creating customer object like this and I'm using this customer object in multiple service classes. Say this is one class like that I'm using 10 or 15 classes, and tomorrow if there is a change in the class name, I have to change in multiple 10 files or 15 files wherever I'm using. So in factory pattern, I will change only in one place so that my actual business logic classes need not get disturbed. So in this way, I'm achieving a best practice. Okay. Now let us go to the example that I have developed for this factory pattern. Okay. So this is my client class, which actually gives the demonstration of factory pattern usage. And what I have done is I have created a logger class. Say what I have written is I have actually uh, I have created a factory class. I have created a factory class and this returns a logger object. So everyone knows what is a logger, right? Logger means logger which traces the print statements or which traces the error statements or which traces the debug information and everything. And this logger can be written to a database. I mean, all the logs can be written to a database, or all the logs can be printed to a console. Okay. So I have created an application. So for console logger, I have one class. For console logger, I have one class. For database logger, I have one class. Okay. So both are two different classes. Now I have created a logger factory which returns an object of database logger, which returns an object of console logger based on some conditions. Okay. So this factory pattern will return the objects like this. So we'll see now here. See, this is my factory class and I have written a logger factory. Okay. So this is my factory class. This is the actual factory class. In that, what I'm doing is I'm writing a method get logger and I'm just passing in this method logger type. If logger type is DB logger, I'm returning an object of database logger. And I have even file logger also. I can write the data to log data to a file. If my logger type is file logger, I'm creating an object of file logger. If my logger type is console logger, I'm returning an object of console logger. Okay. And this all these loggers implement a common interface. This is one of the actual point we have to remember in a factory pattern. So the objects that are created by a factory should be implemented by a common interface. Okay. Say for example, either this database logger or file logger or console logger. These three, any class, this should be implementing this interface iLogger. So this iLogger is an interface which has a method called log and that takes string message. That means, so whatever the message that I am writing to log, it will log to particular. Say for example, now console logger implements iLogger, and here I'm just printing a system.out.println. Just this is writing to some console statement. If it is a database logger, I'm just saying database logger implements iLogger, and in this I'm implementing a method. Here I'm not writing the actual DB operation. This is just for demonstration. Okay, in the real time, you have to write this message or write a JDBC, open a JDBC code and connect to a database and write this message to a table in the database. But here I'm just printing this. And then I have actually file logger. Even file logger also, in real time, you have to just open a file, print writer, and you have to write the file. But here I'm just printing the statement. Okay. And so if you see file logger in every class that is implementing logger, iLogger interface. See, your console logger is implementing iLogger, your database logger is implementing iLogger, your file logger is also implementing iLogger. Okay. And now for the demonstration purpose, I have written a client class. So to demonstrate this factory pattern, how I am demonstrating, you see. See, iLogger logger is equal to logger factory dot get logger of db logger. So what I'm doing is I'm calling the factory class. See, if there is no factory class, what I'm doing, what I have to do, I have to write the code like this, for example. I have to write the code like this. So what I'm doing, I'm just creating the object here, new database logger, logger.log, and then I'm creating a file logger object, logger.log, logger.log. I'm creating the object. But so this is just a demonstration class. But what happens if I'm using this database, new database logger, new file logger, new console logger at multiple places? And tomorrow, if there is a change in this class name, so I have to change this in multiple classes, because otherwise my code will not compile. Okay. So now this is my old way of writing. So instead of that, what I'm doing, I'm just actually, so I'm uncommenting this code now, you see. So what I'm doing is I'm just saying get logger of db logger, and I'm saying logger.log of this one. So now we'll see the flow, what will happen. Now when I say logger factory dot get logger of db logger, so it will go to logger. It is a static method. So it is a static method. So logger factory dot get logger of string logger type. So it now I'm passing db logger. So db logger dot equals logger type. Yes, I'm returning database logger. So now I'm getting database logger object to this logger reference. Okay, so this actual object is a database logger. So when I say logger.log, so now this log method belongs to db logger, database logger method. Okay, and now when I say get logger of file logger, now logger factory will do what it will do. It will return a file logger object. So when I say file logger, now this actual logger, so this actual logger is a file logger object. When I say logger.log, this log method belongs to file logger object. Similarly, when I say get logger of console logger, so this log method belongs to console log. Now we'll see. Just I'll run the application now. Okay, I'll run the application. Now you see here. See, this is a test message to database logger, the first one. Because I'm passing db logger, I'm getting db logger object. And when I say db logger object dot log, so db dot logger, so it is printing the message. And in addition also, it is printing two db database logger, just to indicate that this message has come from this class. Okay. Similarly, this is test message to file logger. So I'm passing file logger value. And now when I say file logger, so it is printing message to file logger. So it is printing file logger. So next it is I'm passing console logger. This is test message. So it is giving message to console logger. So in this way, I am trying to achieve factory pattern. Uh, I hope everyone is clear with this. So the factory pattern is a very simple design pattern. Okay, simple and basic design pattern that we have come across. And in the next video series, I will be going through all these patterns, other patterns also. But this factory pattern is a very simple design pattern. Okay. So with this advantage, what will happen is tomorrow, if there is a change in DB logger class, okay, if there is a change in database logger class, I just change here. That's all. I just change in the factory class. I just change in the factory class like this. I just change instead of database logger, I say new database logger. So I just change here. That's all. And so that this iLogger interface will be same, and your client code, all your service classes where you're using, they will be using iLogger. They will be referring iLogger only. So here you are not dealing with any of the see, if you see in this class name, anywhere we are not dealing with direct class names like database logger or file logger or console logger. We are just dealing with iLogger interface only. And tomorrow, if there is a change in the class name from database logger to new database logger, I'll be changing only in the factory class, and still that new database logger will be implementing iLogger interface, and I will be returning new database logger object, and that will when I call the log method of that object, that will go to that particular class object. Okay, hope you are clear, everyone. Okay, so in the next video, I'll be explaining about the next pattern, which is abstract factory. Okay, so if you like this video and if you want to share the comments, there's a comment section, you can comment it out, and you can subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you.